The music's this old junk slapping the same old LA2A 1167. Come on, every vocal just because some successful producer selling the same old boring emulations or even worse, whatever the hell this abomination is called. Cubase 15 just killed them all. Whew. Okay, let me rephrase that. The Ultrashaper didn't kill our beloved icons. No, not you. It killed the guessing game. If you want a more direct answer to your advanced mixing challenges, this deep dive is for you. Before we continue, the Ultrashaper is a Cubase stock plugin. If you don't use Cubase, you can still follow along. I use the Ultrashaper as a prime example. We can perfectly apply the principles behind it to your workflow using your own tools. Question. Can you name the 3 main reasons we use compression in the 4 traditional types of compressors? If so, you belong to 20% of the music producers that do. Believe it or not, even experienced producers sometimes struggle with volume. A vocal that goes from a whisper to a scream in an instant. A stem of a tom that is so bad there isn't hardly a transient in there at all. And if you take too long, try to find the exact chain of tools that resolve these kinds of problems, well, let's just say it's not good for your objectivity. Let's resist diving straight into the knobs and buttons of the Ultrashaper for a minute, because believe me, they will make a whole lot more sense if we look at the 3 reasons to compress in the 4 categories of compressors first. First reason, nothing turns attention off more than vocals playing hide and seek in a busy mix. Compressors are used to stabilize the volume of a source. Second, compressors are used to control the amount of transient, the part where the percussion, guitar or even a vocal hits versus the tonal information, the rest. Third, as a byproduct, compressors can be used to add harmonic information, saturation, to a given signal. And for the 4 categories of compressors, we have the opto compressors like the LA2A. Those are widely used to stabilize the volume of, for example, vocals. They react slow to a signal and usually add some harmonic color. Fat compressors like the 1176 react super fast to a signal and are used to shape transients and control dynamics. VCA compressors like the SSL bus compressors are like a Swiss army knife. They're traditionally very transparent and clean and are widely used on a mix bus for transient instruments that you don't want colored, like percussion. And lastly, the vari-mu, like the Fairchild 670 or the Manley, are slow, smooth, and can add a layer of expensive sounding warmth, acting as glue. The Ultrashaper is basically another VCA processor. It says so right here, a voltage controlled amplifier. And in this, it follows the same gain reduction physics as, for example, an SSL or this hefty unit. If you use the usual suspects found on any compressor, it perfectly behaves like a good old-fashioned VCA unit. But unlike emulations, the Ultrashaper features an adjustable auto gain. To understand why, let's look at a physical compressor for a second. With a physical compressor, you can use 2 hands, one on the output and the other on the setting you're dialing in. So you can easily keep the loudness for the input and the output signal equal. On a PC with only 1 mouse pointer, gain matching becomes a little unwieldy fiddling. And while a gain match button does help, it lacks fluidity. This is why the adjustable auto gain featured in the Ultrashaper is pretty much a game changer. It tries to stabilize the perceived loudness, not volume, but only for the threshold, the knee and the ratio, and not the attack and the release. However, it does seem to compensate for the fast attack toggle. Where in the original VCA the punch toggle significantly alters the perceived loudness, the Ultrashaper keeps the signal stable. Like stated earlier in the video, compressors are also used to add saturation to a signal. And so far the two compressors handled the representation of an audio signal very clean, but they have a different approach on saturation. Our VCA emulation can add harmonic information with the drive knob. This is applied to the whole signal. The Ultrashaper features a clipper that clips the peak of a signal, and by doing so adds harmonic information to only the peaks. Clipping is excluded from auto gain, so you will have to adjust the output accordingly. Needless to say, the saturated result looks and sounds very different, and as we will see in the next chapter, it's a fascinating feature to have within a single plugin. Let's replace our abstract signal with a real live one and find out if at the same peak volume we can get a louder and more focused sound. Along the way we'll discover how to get the most out of the rest of the functionalities. There are many ways to set a compressor, and personally I love using the exaggeration method. Turn your monitors to a minimum and the auto gain off. Now set your attack to very short, the release to long, and use a very low threshold. This focuses the peaks to peak through, so that you can clearly hear what part the compressor will compress. Slowly turn up the attack. For this snare sound, around 45 milliseconds, I can hear the smack of the snare hit coming through. This is where the beef is. You can turn your monitor level to a normal listening level at this point. Now adjust the release until it sounds musical. It should breathe in rhythm with the music. Once the timing is set, engage the auto gain and set it to a level where you perceive the loudness is about the same as the incoming signal. Don't look at the meter for this, we'll address that in a minute. The auto gain will now stabilize the perceived loudness for setting your threshold, ratio and knee. This allows you to really hone in on the balance between the transient and the tonal information. Listen to the difference. But our problem isn't fully solved because, as you can see, we have a different peak volume now. And on the same peak level, our result sounds weaker. And this is what most people get wrong about compression, and also where most of our analog emulations fall flat. Because if I put back this in the mix, it is more focused at the cost of headroom in this track. Now comes the part where you need to pay attention. It will feel counterintuitive at first, but will make sense in a moment. First, I turn down the volume and note that about -6 decibels, the peak volume of the meters is about the same. Keep that in mind as we keep turning the volume down until we reach -10 decibels, the peak level of our incoming signal. Now I open the drawer, turn on the clipper and turn it up. At the 6 decibels we saw a few seconds ago, it will start to clip. I keep turning it up to shave off the excess energy we created a minute ago. And now, before and after, basic physics here. Energy never gets lost, right? We don't want the volume, we want the loudness. And that is what will make a snare hold its ground in a very busy mix. By redistributing the peak energy into harmonic energy, you gain extra loudness without increasing the volume. With a transient circuit, you can add the original transient back to the signal. I'm just not sure why it says 15 decibels on the dial. I only measure 3 decibels added. but to my ears it makes it sound just a little more cohesive and natural sounding. Volume peaks at the exact same place, but it sounds more focused and louder. How cool is that? Talking about cool, I haven't even showed you the coolest part about the Ultrashaper yet. But before we continue, I really enjoy making videos like this, sharing my perspective on creating music in an entertaining way. If you like the video, leave a like. If you learned something, subscribe. And now, on with the fun part. Now you know how to set a compressor up as a utility, but because it is so versatile, you can easily use, or maybe better said, misuse it in a more creative way. For example, if I really crank it on this sample, but I mean really try to make it fall apart, I get results that are bonkers. I mean, listen to this for a second. And of course, if you overdid it, you can always use the intensity to get some of your dynamics back. It acts as a scale knob for all settings. Of course, the mix knob is available as well, but your intent will be better preserved with the intensity knob. Lower two are old school, upper two are the new school. Okay, as we wrap up today, there are 3 things I want you to remember. First, let's admit that using digital emulations of legacy hardware leaves us with a handicap. Second, the addition of an adjustable auto gain and a clipper makes the Ultrashaper dangerously capable to destroy a signal. And third, understanding the principles behind a tool like this makes you dangerous and capable of wielding them to their full potential. Here is what I want to invite you to do. Next time, before you start processing a signal, listen to it, use your inner auditorium to assess where this needs to go, and then use the principles instead of knobs and buttons to bring it there. And that is what this channel is about, to find out how we can wield our tools as instruments instead of just mindlessly turning knobs and pushing buttons. The only button that should be a no-brainer pushing is the subscribe button of this channel. And if you want to see me written like a telemarketer from the 80s and I way too much coffee, go watch this video. See you in the next one. Relvoet out.